Okay, this should not be much of a guess, but that's not a sofa and chair on sale. That is something dumped in the parking lot of this vacant Family Dollar. Let's take a look around it quick. Well, here we have another Family Dollar, but this one is not operating. And this is what happens. The margins are so thin on these, and they have long-term lease renewal options with typically not much of an increase. So during the last 5 years, when we have area times of high inflation, some of these renewal rates are only like 5% over the last 5 years, and you can have more of an inflation rate in a single year than you have a possible renewal in 5 years. So you can get behind real quick on these if you don't know what you're doing. And you really not have to know that inflation can kill you, but non-renewal is even worse. Let's take a quick look. So on this Family Dollar, it closed, and you can see they actually did steel doors over the glass in the front. That gives you a good indication possibly why this closed. Another thing you have to consider is when you put these steel doors on, if it's got proper ventilation. Because if you encase a building without the proper ventilation, you can create mold exposure on the inside. So anytime a property goes dark and it's not inspected on a routine basis, there's going to be issues. And lots of these issues are just because people can see that the property is vacant and they take advantage of that situation. You can get a management company, but they might do a periodic inspection once every 30 days, but they don't come out and see what's really happening on the site. And when that happens, I'll tell you, when that happens, little things turn into big things. So we have the steel doors here for protecting the glass, but as you can see on the side here, I often find people living in the sites of these, and looks to be the case here. We have not only trash dumped in the parking lot side, and as soon as that's there a week, it sort of gives people like the license to continue to dump because they see nobody's doing anything about it. So some other person will come by here and say, well, I'll add to that pile. And pretty soon you got piles of trash all over your parking lot. That's what happens when you have a building that's not being viewed on a daily basis. And like I said, you end up with people living on your site also. And if you look back in the woods here, we got a camper. So you have to be very careful in these buildings. These buildings are, I have information on over $30,000 stores in the United States. I have more information on some buildings than the owners actually know. But you got to really know what you're doing to invest in a dollar store. And often they're connected to strip centers. Yesterday I inspected one that had 8 units attached to it, and half of them were vacant. So that does not bring anything into the dollar store for increasing the rent. And then you have to replace the tenant sooner or later. So what's the upside? You got to really figure that out.